Hello everybody and welcome back to Robert's Reviews. Today is still Friday, and I am halfway through my new release watches for the day, which is making it a very long day. But I did watch this movie. You can rent it on Fandango now. I believe this is also in theaters, but I could be wrong. But let's go ahead and jump right into talking about The Vault. The Vault was released in 2021, and it was written by Rowan Athol, Michael Godson-Bride, Gorja Gelis-Santalanana, and Andres Copel and Rata Martinez. And it was directed by Juan Balagueres. One, this is partly Spanish, so I apologize if I pronounce any of that wrong. And for two, why do you have so many writers on one film? That is almost guaranteed to be why it is part of the problem. That's so many writers. That's how many writers is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 writers for one film that is 2 hours long. This is a non-spoiler review, and essentially, to give a brief plot analysis, sort of, it follows Freddie Highmore's character, Tom, as he is trying to find a job in the area of engineering, and he is literally an engineering genius. He just got done solving a problem with the Mexican Gulf or whatever, and so everyone's trying to hire him, and they're going to pay him billions of dollars. Yes, come work for us, blah blah. But he's not passionate about it, so he doesn't want to. So he's looking for a job that he's passionate about. And he bumps into this guy named Walter, and Walter is like, "Hey, you want to come work for me? And you can try to rob into the most secure bank in the world. No one's ever even gotten close to cracking it, and we believe you can." And he's like, "You know what? It sounds impossible. Let's do it." And then he does. Or at least he tries to. No spoilers. I will not spoil what happens in the end, because this is definitely a movie where you could have a good amount of spoilers in it, and I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys. But let's go ahead and start talking about the movie itself. Overall, I don't hate the movie. I don't. I really don't. I think it's a fun movie. It's fun to watch. I enjoyed watching it. I had a good time for the entire 2 hours. However, there are a lot of problems with the movie that I don't think the basic audiences would notice, right? Like, if I brought, a friend of mine to go see this movie, they're gonna enjoy it. They're gonna be like, "Oh, wow, that was a really fun movie." But for me, who's seen so many movies and does this a lot, there's a lot of tropes involved here. There's so many crime dramas that involve breaking into things, and this is very similar to a lot of them. Does that stop the thrill of what's going to happen? I don't think it does here. I'm quite impressed with how they were able to... It's predictable. It's pretty predictable for the most part. There's a couple things where and that's really cool, but for the most part, it's a pretty predictable film. But to what point does predictable become bad? Which I'm going to make a video about at some point in the future. Let me write that down, actually. Predict... the episode. I'll make an episode on that just for you guys, okay? Because I think it's a really interesting topic. But here, let's just talk about it in the basis of here. No, it's not. It's really good. I like that it was predictable, but I was able to look past it, right? I'm like, okay, they're obviously going to do this thing, and this thing's going to happen. And then it does, but it doesn't stop it from being really good, right? I enjoyed it. I really did. But the issue is that it's so predictable that people like me are going to be like, okay, well, I've seen this movie before. The only difference is, Freddie Highmore's in it, and, a couple other things. And it's rated R for, almost no reason. They just have a couple F-bombs in there, and I'm kind of surprised as to why they did that. They could have easily made this PG-13 with just removing the F-bombs, and it wouldn't have lowered the quality of the film at all. So I'm curious as to why they did that. The plot is a little messy, just a little bit. It's not bad. It's definitely followable. You can sit there and, talk to a friend while you're watching this movie, and you'll probably be fine. You're probably not going to miss almost anything. It's really easy to follow. But the beginning is really, it's not slow, but, it doesn't match the tone of the rest of the movie, right? The beginning, you're like, oh, this is kind of funny. It's almost like a comedy, because he's, ignoring all these people and all that stuff. It's really funny. And then, immediately after the beginning, it's like, oh, wow, it's a spy movie now, and it's really cool. But, I wouldn't have hated a little bit more comedy throughout the movie and making it more of a comedic crime drama. Or if they wanted to stick with the tone, it skip the beginning part altogether, and it probably still would have been okay. And again, it's not like I'm saying this is like the best movie ever. It's just enjoyable, and it's fun to watch. But there are, again, some issues. The acting for the most part's fine. I'll get into that in a little bit. The writing is pretty okay. I'm not mad at the writing. I think the writing was what it needed to be to do this. However, there are a lot of writers, which is ridiculous. There are some instances, particularly in the beginning of the film, that I don't think they quite knew in what direction they were going or how to show their direction to the audience. They eventually figured it out. What the first and second acts aren't great. The first act really isn't that great. The second act is like pretty fun because they're learning about stuff and you're learning about it too. And the last act is predictable, and then one thing happens that you weren't predicting. You're like, oh, well, that's kind of cool that they decided to do that. And I think the third act is definitely the best part of the film. The finale of the film I didn't really enjoy. I'm not going to talk about it because it is spoilery, but just know that I didn't really particularly enjoy it. But let's go ahead and talk about the acting. First with Freddie Highmore as Tom. I love Freddie Highmore. Always have. I've grown up with him, like, literally. He's, like, I don't know, like, a few years older than me, so almost literally. I had no qualms. I liked Freddie Highmore in this. I really did. I think he's, a great child actor as he was, and I think he's a great adult actor now. I look forward to seeing more from him. I'm eventually going to go into The Good Doctor and revisit Bates Motel at some point, but until then, The Vault will do. He does a really good job, and I really like him in this, as I do with most of his other films as well. Astrid Berges-Fresbe as Lorraine. I apologize if I pronounced that wrong. I'm not Spanish. She's okay. We don't get a whole lot of her, even though she's listed as the second top billed. But we don't really get a whole lot of her, and she's almost the romantic interest. She kind of is. There's always a romantic interest in this film. I for a moment there, you thought, oh, they're not going to get romantically inclined. Finally, good, a movie that doesn't involve that. And then they do, and it's like, come on! It's really frustrating, but I'm able to move past it. I think she's fine. She's good. Maybe casting a less generic actor would be good, because she's very, like, stereotypical female, spy looking, Like, it's hard to tell her apart from the other women in the movie. There aren't a whole lot of women in the movie, but then the ending is weird because they kind of bring somebody that looks like her in, but she's blonde. It's complicated. I'm just saying that maybe having something that, like, we could tell that it's her and, like, make it more pronounceable, I guess. Like, I can look at the screen and be like, okay, that's her. That's the person that's involved with this. Would be a little bit more better, but not a whole lot better. It's a little nitpicky thing. I understand, but she was fine. I didn't have any problems with her. I think it could have been better, but I don't think it could have been. I think it was fine. Liam Cunningham as Walter. I think he was really good. I really did. I think he was great throughout the whole film. I was a little in the beginning, because in the beginning it wasn't like great. I was like, I'm kind of nervous for his performance, but then towards the middle and the end, he really does get better, and is able to portray his character a lot better, I think. Sam Riley as James. I can't talk about James a whole lot because there's a lot of really interesting turns this character takes, but I think he was pretty good, at least for the beginning part of the film. I didn't really like him towards the second part of the film, but now that I've watched the second part of the film, it makes the first part of the film even a little bit better, I think. But it's interesting. There's some things that happen. I can't go into it because it's spoilers, but I think he's fine. I think he's pretty good. I don't think it's the best performance of the movie, but it's pretty good. But that's pretty much everything I had to say, except for a wrap-up. And essentially, The Vault's a fun movie. Is it something you haven't seen before? No, it's not spectacular, it's not new, it's not super original. But it's fun. It's fun to watch, and it's a movie that, like, we've been waiting for. We've been waiting for a movie that is just, you can sit back, relax, and watch it, and you don't have to get too involved in it. So I do appreciate that they were able to deliver on that note. However, there's a lot of other notes that they didn't quite deliver on. And that is why I'm going to have to give The Vault a B. A B's okay. I liked it. I'll watch it again at some point probably. It's fun to watch. It's enjoyable. But in no way, shape, or form do I think it's going to be like Academy Award worthy, or Oscar worthy, which is an Academy Award, or Golden Globes. I just don't think it's particularly fantastic. But for general audiences, they're going to eat this up. This is their thing. They're going to love this. Coming up the rest of the date, I'm going to start watching 6 Minutes to Midnight after this, and then I'm also going to watch A Week Away, which is a musical that just came out on Netflix today, and then that'll wrap up my day, which is a lot to do in one day. But it's all for you guys, so hope you guys are enjoying the new content. Please consider subscribing, and let me know what you guys thought about The Vault in the comments down below. I love reading them, and I will check it out as soon as I get the comments. I just got a message that the Suicide Squad trailer is available. It is now open, so I'm going to go look at that, and hopefully that is correct. And I'll be able to watch that after I edit this video. But thank you all so much for watching, and as always, Keep watching movies and television, stay educated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.